The Passover massacre was a suicide bombing carried out by Hamas at the Park Hotel in Netanya, Israel on 27 March 2002, during a Passover seder. 30 civilians were killed in the attack and 140 were injured. It was the deadliest attack against Israelis during the Second Intifada. The attack, during the Jewish holiday of Passover in 2002. Park Hotel in the Israeli coastal city of Netanya held its traditional annual Passover seder for its 250 guests, in the hotel dining room located at the ground floor of the hotel. During this holiday, many hotel guests were elderly Jews who didn't have family and relatives in Israel. In the evening of 27 March 2002, a Palestinian suicide bomber, Abdul Basit Hoda, disguised as a woman, approached the hotel carrying a suitcase which contained powerful explosives. The suicide bomber managed to pass the security guard at the entrance to a hotel. Then he walked through the lobby, passing the reception desk, and entered the hotel's crowded dining room. At 7:30 p.m., the suicide bomber detonated the explosive device he was carrying. The force of the explosion instantly killed 28 civilians and injured about 140 people, of whom 20 were injured severely. 2 of the injured later died from their wounds. Some of the victims were Holocaust survivors. Most of the victims were senior citizens. The oldest victim was 90 and the youngest was 20 years old. A number of married couples were killed, as well as a father together with his daughter. One of the victims was a Jewish tourist from Sweden who was visiting Israel for Passover. The plot for the Passover massacre included the use of cyanide. 4 kilograms of cyanide had been bought and prepared for a chemical attack. Tariq Zidan had been recruited to Hamas, and during 1997 he researched the use of chlorine and other nerve agents to be used in terror attacks. In 2002, 4 kilograms of chlorine had been bought and packed for the attack. For an unknown reason it was not used and passed to Abbas al-Said instead. Victims. The perpetrators. Hamas claimed responsibility for the attack. The bomber was identified as Abdul Basit Hoda, a 25-year-old from the nearby West Bank city of Tulkarm. Hamas spokesman Abdulaziz Rantisi said that, as long as there is occupation, there will be a resistance, and denied that the attack was timed to coincide with the peace initiative of the Saudi Arabian government at the Beirut summit, an initiative rejected by Hamas. Official reactions. Involved parties. Israeli government spokesman Gideon Meir related to the attack, saying, "What we had tonight was a Passover massacre," and added, "There is no limit to Palestinian barbarism." Palestinian territories. Palestinian National Authority. Palestinian Authority officials strongly condemned the attack. During a television broadcast on the Palestinian TV channel, the Palestinians' leader Yasser Arafat praised the Palestinian people for the current popular uprising against Israel, but stressed that, "We are against killing civilians on both sides." Supranational United Nations. Kofi Annan, United Nations Secretary-General, stated that he condemned suicide bombings against Israeli civilians as morally repugnant. International United States. President of the United States George W. Bush condemned the attack and called on Yasser Arafat to do everything in his power to stop what he called terrorist killing. Aftermath. In his response to the Saudi initiative adopted at the Beirut summit, Foreign Affairs Minister of Israel Shimon Peres noted that, "The details of every peace plan must be discussed directly between Israel and the Palestinians. And to make this possible, the Palestinian Authority must put an end to terror, the horrifying expression of which we witnessed just last night in Netanya." Israeli retaliation. The attack was perceived in Israel as the high point of a bloody month in which more than 135 Israelis, mostly civilians, were killed in terror attacks. Following the Passover massacre attack, the Israeli government declared a state of emergency, ordered the immediate recruitment of 20,000 reservists in an emergency call-up, and in the following day launched the large-scale counter-terrorism Operation Defensive Shield in the West Bank, which took place between 29 March and 10 May. Qais Adwan, head of the suicide bombing network responsible for the massacre, was killed by IDF forces on 5 April 2002 during Operation Defensive Shield, after the IDF and the Yamam caught him in Tubas, some 70 kilometers north of Jerusalem. An armored IDF Caterpillar D9 bulldozer toppled the house where he was hiding, after he was given a chance to surrender and refused. Mohanad Taha, believed to be the maker of the explosive device, was killed in clashes with Shayatet 13 fighters in June 2003. Arrests in May 2002, Israeli forces arrested the mastermind behind the attack, Abbas al-Sayed. On the 22nd of September 2005, al-Sayed was convicted of the Passover attack and also of ordering the May 2001 bombing of a Netanya mall. He received 35 life sentences for each murder victim and additional time for those who were wounded. On 26 March 2008, Hamas commander Omar Jabbar, who was suspected of organizing the Passover massacre bombing, was arrested in Tel Karim. In September 2009, Mohammed Harish, a senior Hamas militant and one of the planners of the bombing, was arrested by the border police's elite Yamam counter-terror squad in his home village along with an aide, Adnan Samara. Palestinian glorification of the bomber. In 2003, the Palestinian Authority sponsored a soccer tournament, Tulkarm Shahid's Memorial Soccer Championship Tournament of the Shahid Abd al-Baset Oda, describing the perpetrator as of Shahid.